Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. I am your host, theFellowKGB. Got a new intro. Hope you like that. I might have to cut it down a little bit. It seemed a little bit long, but yeah, today is August 25th. It's a Tuesday evening. It's about almost 6 o'clock. We're going to be looking at another round of training camp news and notes and things that stuck out to me for today. Just for the fantasy, we're not going to look too much at defense. If there's an important defensive note, I'll say it. But we're going to just be looking here at the RotoWire website. So let me go ahead here and we'll pull up Derrick Henry here. So Ryan Tannehill says he is catching the ball more confidently, which is a huge deal. And this is something that I've kind of been thinking about lately because they really don't have much depth behind Derrick Henry. They got a rookie, Darrington Evans, Senoris Perry, and Dalen Dawkins. So these are some running backs that most people probably have never heard of. So I think Derrick Henry had 18 receptions last year. I don't think it's that crazy. That he gets a career high in receptions this year and kind of boosts his overall PPR value just a little bit. But it's enough for me to consider Derrick Henry in the fifth overall, sixth overall. It's a tough decision between Derrick Henry and Michael Thomas for me. So now we're looking here at Zach Moss, and here's another interesting little PPR nugget. But the Athletics' Joe Buscaglia believes Zach Moss is going to be a factor on passing downs, and this is something that I've kind of seen from the beginning. I think he's a really good back from Utah who showed he can do everything pretty well, and he's going to compete with Devin Singletary for passing down work. He's a very good pass blocker, very good catcher. His yards after the catch are pretty fantastic too. So the exact quote here is he's showing the ability to make plays out of the backfield. Let's see here. The site reported that similar last week. He's previously said Moss could potentially have a role that's undersold right now. So these reports make it harder than ever to know what to do with Devin Singletary. And Moss's ADP is creeping up to RB41. I think I have Zach Moss somewhere in like my late 30s. I'm a little bit higher on Zach Moss, a little bit lower on Devin Singletary than most. So I've been fading Devin Singletary at ADP, and I've been scooping up Zach Moss. He's probably now entering the 8th, 9th, 10th round. You used to be able to get him in 11, 12. So Zach Moss, definitely a name to keep an eye on, is he's going to wrestle away snaps and opportunities and touches from Devin Singletary. We got a Jordan Reed sighting today. So he practiced for the first time. I saw a couple of his routes that he was running, just one-on-one against air, I guess solo against air. So that's really good to see him kind of coming back here. I don't know if we can expect anything from him for fantasy. George Kittle's in the way. But anyways, really good story there. This is a really interesting one here, another Buffalo note. But Josh Allen is saying he is hoping to run less this season. So I'm going to read his quote. He said, "My mindset this year is a little different. I'm going to try to get the ball into my playmakers' hands and let them make some plays because they're a lot quicker and shiftier than I am. But when my number is called, I'll step up to the plate for sure." So he's not going to completely just stop running the ball. He's going to be a threat near the red zone for sure. But I think people maybe are projecting a little bit too much of a rushing threat from Josh Allen. He's still going to be one of the top 3 or 4 rushing quarterbacks in the league. He's probably going to get 5 or 6 touchdowns. It's just, his instinct is to scramble sometimes. So I still think he's going to be fine in the rushing category, but it's interesting that he's conscious of it, and he's already telling us that he's hoping to run less. So here we go. We got tight end Chris Herndon here. And right now the Jets receivers are banged up. Rashad Perriman's not practicing. Denzel Mims is not practicing. These guys were Mims was supposed to be, the exciting rookie. We haven't seen much of him yet. And Perriman, the new free agent receiver, he hasn't really been able to show anything. So it looks like Sam Darnold is going to continue his chemistry with tight end Chris Herndon, and then, of course, receiver Jamison Crowder. So these are the two. I know the Jets are almost like a dumpster fire this year, and they're hard to touch for fantasy. But the crystal ball is getting a little clearer here with the targets, especially Chris Herndon. And because of his tight end ADP, it's just ridiculously cheap. He could be one of your last picks in the draft and see what happens. So the quote here is, with the issues at wideout, Darnold seems to throw to his tight end over and over again. If both parties stay healthy, they could be in store for a big season. So Herndon was suspended in some injuries last year. He didn't get much going. But his ADP right now is like wide receiver 20, which just is a little bit ridiculous. So he's becoming a guy that I'm really intrigued in. A lot of people just talking about this let Russ cook kind of meme here. The Seahawks are downplaying it, saying they're going to be, their usual run-heavy selves. But I think we might see some more passing from Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. I really hope we get some more attempts. Career-high passing attempts would be cool for Russell. I mean, he's got 2 of the best receivers that he's had to work with. I know Doug Baldwin was pretty legit. But Tyler Lockett and the young DK Metcalf, you got Greg Olsen, Philip Dorsett, maybe Will Dissly, and then the running backs, of course. So I'm super excited for Russell Wilson. But it's tough to take like the fifth overall quarterback at ADP. There's a lot of receivers in that range that I like. So if Wilson falls, I'm interested. We'll keep on moving here. This is probably gonna be a pretty quick video. I'm trying to do more live intro videos and trying to just be more extended to the fantasy community and any of my viewers. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to leave me a comment, subscribe, and I don't know. I hope to start seeing some more people in the chat room. We'll see if we can, finally start getting some more numbers and more conversation going in the sidebar. So this was a report that I kind of read yesterday's report about Gunnar Olszewski being one of the most improved receivers. They've been saying that he looked good, maybe as good as Julian Edelman, so one of the second best receivers on the team through camp so far. It looks like Brandon Ayuk's being labeled as a mild hamstring. So Brandon Ayuk, the rookie receiver out of Arizona State, it took him in the first round. Debo Samuel's out, so everyone's excited about Ayuk's opportunity to get the reps with the ones. But all of a sudden that gets kind of derailed for a little bit. He's got a mild soft tissue injury, and this could be something to linger on through the season. So they usually say that you're as healthy as you are, throughout the whole season as you enter the league. So this could be something to watch. Soft tissue injuries are nothing to mess with. And especially for a rookie, this might be a little bit of a hurdle that might be tough to overcome. So when you think about how the Niners are going to move the ball, they're going to be one of the most run-heavy teams in the league. So Mostert, Coleman, maybe Jerick McKinnon. But of course, it's going to be George Kittle being the number one receiver, tight end there. But now I'm kind of pivoting towards veteran receiver Kendrick Bourne to be the main guy out of the gate for the Niners. And we'll see if Trent Taylor can get anything. Maybe a couple of the other receivers can make some moves. I'm keeping an eye on Juwan Jennings, Tennessee wide receiver there that they drafted. So we got some Nelson Aguilar news. Apparently Mike Mayock says he's on a mission. So the quote is, this is also true of Zay Jones. And I guess the quote is, they're in as good a shape as any two players we have on this team. I had a pretty good grade on Aguilar coming out of USC. I think I know what he is, and I think we're seeing the best of that version of Nelly in camp. Apparently his nickname is Nelly from Mike Mayock. So something to keep an eye on. I still like Hunter Renfrow, Henry Ruggs, and Brian Edwards over these guys. And I really don't know if we want to be relying too heavily on the Raiders pass catchers. So it looks like we got a Todd Gurley blurb here. I saw it looks like offensive coordinator Dirk Cutter is expecting a minimum of 15 weekly touches for Gurley. So here's the quote. You're going to have 64 plays in a game on average on offense, depending on where you're at in the season and wear and tear. I think the low is 15 and maybe the high in 25. So that's a pretty good, that's a huge range. That's really not really telling us much. 15 to 25. That's kind of crazy. So maybe we should expect him to get 15 to 20 touches for most part. But he's going to be an RB2 any week that he's healthy. I still don't really feel great about him where he's going at ADP. I think I would prefer. Basically, he's a third-round pick. I'm taking receivers in the third and fourth round, maybe James Conner, maybe Chris Carson, maybe Le'Veon Bell over Gurley. But I'm interested in Gurley. I'm rooting for him, but I think I'm not touching Gurley at ADP. I think I'd rather look towards the backup running backs. So we got some AJ Green alert here. AJ Green is expected to return to practice. So we'll see if he can put together a full practice on Wednesday. He's been out with a hamstring injury. I hope he can get through one day and then start to stack some consecutive days of practice. That's the next thing that we're going to be looking for here. The Lions, this is a Matthew Stafford note, but the shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it's maybe 20, 25 minutes, half an hour south of me. So this one hit home, but the Lions did a good thing today, and they didn't practice today. They kind of held their own little protest outside of their facilities. It was pretty powerful. So I would applaud the Lions. Good job, Lions. Eric Swope here. He's a former tight end from the Indianapolis Colts. He's kind of a basketball type receiver at the tight end position. So it looks like he had a good day, but again, he's on the Niners tight end system, so we're not really excited there. Here's some big news. Mike Williams, I talked about this yesterday. He did have the shoulder. I don't know if it's sprained or whatnot, but he dinged up his shoulder, and they're saying that he could miss the team's opener. So my Chargers take, I had a video last night with a couple friends that we went live, and we were talking about some of the Chargers and players that we're interested in. And the Chargers' schedule is extremely juicy to start the year. They don't have a lot of like their first 9 games are all bottom feeder teams. I think the only 2 games that are going to be tough are Tampa Bay and New Orleans. But otherwise, they're playing teams like the Jaguars, the Bengals, the Raiders, the Jets. Did I say Jacksonville? There's a lot of cupcakes on their schedule. So with Mike Williams potentially missing the rest of camp and not being able to play week 1, to me, this is all of a sudden it's a funnel team where, you got Tyrod Taylor. He's going to be slinging the ball to Keenan Allen. He's going to be hooking up with Austin Eckler and then probably Hunter Henry. So all 3 of those guys are kind of boosting up in my rankings. I'm going to have to go down and kind of boost Mike Williams down a little bit. It might take him some time to get, back into the mix of things. But at the moment right now, Austin Eckler round 2 seems like as safe as you could go. Keenan Allen's drifting sometimes in the 6th into the 7th round, which just seems absurd. He was a top 10 receiver last year. I know it's Philip Rivers to Tyrod Taylor, but there's some stats with Tyrod Taylor in Cleveland, and he peppered Jarvis Landry with a lot of targets. I think Landry had 100-yard game, and the other game was like 6 for 60 something. So I think Tyrod can make these guys, fantasy usable. And it wouldn't surprise. I mean, Keenan Allen's not one of those guys I want to bet against. I think Keenan Allen's got wide receiver 2 upside, and we'll see what he can do with Tyrod Taylor. So good news for Zach Ertz. He's talking about a new contract. That's really good to see. One of the best tight ends in the league. Ben Roethlisberger note: the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, man. I know a lot of people are nervous about what they can or can't do and how healthy they can be. But here we got a quote saying Ben Roethlisberger told Yahoo Sports that he had dealt with nagging pain in his throwing arm for 13 or 14 years after having elbow surgery this offseason. So here's the exact quote. "Oh yeah, I've been feeling this pain in my elbow for probably 13 to 14 years. I've had a small tear in there the whole time, and I dealt with the pain and literally dealt with it in pretty much everything I do. You just kind of get used to it. I've had the pain for so long that every day I keep waiting for it to come back. Like, where is it? Where is it?" So to me, this sounds very optimistic that his arm is not limited anymore. He had this nagging injury for so long, and it sounds like it's been taken care of. So I mean, he had Antonio Brown, a young Juju, even Martavis Bryant and Le'Veon Bell. So he had, that was a much better supporting cast. But now he's got Juju, Deontay, and James Conner, even James Washington, Eric Ebron. There's a lot of ballers on this team where I think we might see another top 10 season from Ben at the quarterback position. So the Steelers, man, I'm super interested in the upside of the Steelers offense. Budda Baker, safety for the Cardinals, is going to be the highest paid safety in the league. That's pretty cool. This is going to be your handcuff to Christian McCaffrey. Mike Davis here. He's standing out in camp as the next best running back. I think they traded for him last year. They picked him up. I don't know. This is some kind of lingering news from yesterday. You see the Kenyon Drake walking boot, but apparently the Cardinals tight end situation is kind of clearing itself up with Dan Arnold has quickly proven to be the Cardinals' top pass catching threat at tight end. So we'll just file that away and see what's going on. It sounds like Van Jefferson's impressing in camp, and the Rams are trying to contain themselves. There's little blurbs and rumors about them moving on from Cooper Kupp soon. I don't know if they have the money to pay him, so the Van Jefferson pick might have been a replacement for Cooper Kupp. So I'm super interested in Van Jefferson in dynasty drafts and see if he can do much in his rookie year. This is probably the other one that I really wanted to talk about. So the Steelers note here, Benny Snell. Benny Snell is going to be the handcuff to James Conner. If anything happens to James, so say you draft James Conner, you can just legit spend your last pick on Benny Snell if you wanted to cover it. Otherwise, if you're in the regular season and Snell's on the waiver wire, you're just going to have to throw down a little bit more money to get him if anything goes down. But I don't like having that mindset, so I'm just going to assume we're going to get a healthy workload of James Conner this year. And then here's the other big name so Deontay Johnson hasn't been practicing, which is giving second-round receiver Chase Claypool the opportunity to do a lot of things with the ones. So here's the quote: "Practice after practice, the rookie is making non-rookie-like plays after running non-rookie-like routes and making non-rookie-like catches." So Claypool just keeps showing up. And then I also saw a tweet from Eric Ebron today, the tight end for the Steelers. He's just saying, man, I don't know if the NFL is ready for Chase Claypool. So my interest is definitely peaked. I'm going to see if this drumbeat continues. We'll see if we can get some more news out of Claypool and see if he can continue what he's doing. But that sounds very exciting. OJ Howard's been kind of balling in camp. Here's one of the guys that I've been keeping up with. This is probably going to be the last one. We'll end the video after this. But the San Francisco Niners, they got an undrafted rookie here that I really liked out of Baylor, Jermichael Hasty. Apparently he's standing out in 49ers camp. The quote is, he's elusive, separates on pass patterns and one-on-one drills, and is difficult for defenders to square up against because of natural fluidity and change of direction ability in traffic. So he's a really shifty little back. He's super fast, and I just think he's kind of got like a Tevin Coleman vibe. He's probably quicker. He's a little pass-catching guy. He was very productive at Baylor, I think his final season. So he's just a name to file away. If he's available in your waiver wire, go ahead and check that out. And then, I'm going to read this here because The Athletic, Vic Tepfer expects Josh Jacobs to easily double his 2019 receptions total of 20. So that would be huge. For those drafting Josh Jacobs at the end of the first round, to me, that's a bit pricey. I love getting Josh Jacobs at the beginning of the second round. If I have the 12th pick, I have a hard time passing on Jacobs twice. And I've been bullish on Josh Jacobs' reception totals all season. I think he's going to be somewhere in the 35 to 40 range. And again, this is just another drumbeat kind of confirming that bias. So I'm super excited here. It looks like that's going to probably wrap it up for the day. This is all the news and notes that we read yesterday. So I want to thank you for your time. Don't forget to like, leave a comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to crank out podcasts and videos every day the rest of the way up until Labor Day draft weekend. So yeah, stay tuned for more. Check out some of the other videos. I got a lot of mock draft videos, a lot of other training camp news and updates and thoughts on players and outlooks. So yeah, thank you for your time, and have a good one. Peace.